Episode 28. The Gaze of the Shadow. The wave of rumors that Ryan had started finally reached the deepest, darkest corners of Ethereum. In a secret underground assembly hall within the manor of the Valerius family. The most powerful and influential faction in the city's noble council. Figures clad in black robes gathered under the candlelight. It was the Ethereum chapter of the Shadow Cult. The heir of the Sundara Kingdom. What a ridiculous notion. A man sitting in the center of the group spoke in a low voice. He was a handsome man with silver hair and sharp features, but his eyes were as cold and ruthless as a snake's. He was Lord Valerius, a member of Ethereum's noble council, and a high-ranking official in the Shadow Cult. He was a figure of a completely different caliber than Baron Thornfield of Silver Creek. My lord, our investigations have found no trace of anyone named Kairos, reported the shadow alchemist, Kalen, who stood beside him. After fleeing from Silver Creek, he had been hiding under Valerius's protection. It is highly likely to be an elaborate scam. A scam. An intrigued smile played on Valerius's lips. And yet, according to Valerius, the artifacts he possesses hold a faint trace of ancient magic. And that treasure he's been peddling, the Heart of the Sun. The name bothers me. He rose from his seat and pointed to an ancient map hanging on the wall. One of the shadow relics we seek, the Eye of the Void, was, according to legend, sealed in the Temple of the Sun, a place that once held the power of the sun itself. And that temple is located in the Great Eastern Desert, precisely where the Sundara Kingdom is presumed to have existed. A tense silence filled the assembly hall. Are you suggesting that this swindler truly has a clue about the Eye of the Void? Galen asked, his voice trembling. I cannot be certain, but it is a possibility. Perhaps he's just a foolish petty thief who stumbled upon a real treasure without realizing its worth, Valerius said with a cold smile. Either way, it is worth investigating. We will attend the private exhibition hosted by Valerius. I must see for myself if this Heart of the Sun is genuine, and if this man named Kairos will be of any use to our plans. He turned to Kalen and commanded, You will tail him. Find out everything you can about his identity, all his secrets. If necessary, you have my permission to use the Shadow's touch. Kalen bowed his head, the fanatical heat returning to his eyes. Meanwhile, Ryan, sensing that his plan was proceeding smoothly, was preparing for the private exhibition. He had rented Valerius's most luxurious manor and set up the exhibition hall under heavy security. But he did not know. The net he had cast had caught a shark far more dangerous and massive than he had ever imagined. And that shark was already baring its sharp teeth right behind him. Episode 29. Faces Behind the Masks. On the night of the private exhibition, Valerius's manor was swarming with the powerful figures of Ethereum. Noble ladies in extravagant dresses, merchants adorned with expensive jewels, and high-ranking mages alike had all gathered to see the legendary artifact. Ryan, or rather Kairos, looked down on the scene from the manor's highest balcony with a sense of satisfaction. Beside him, his patron Valerius stood, unable to hide his excitement as he constantly fanned himself. Look, Lord Kairos, all the great figures of Ethereum have gathered at your feet. Your name will now become a legend. Not my name, but the name of my ancestors, Ryan replied, feigning a sorrowful expression. His eyes scanned the crowd, taking note of a few individuals who stood out. One of them was the handsome, silver-haired nobleman, Lord Valerius. was surrounded by sycophants, but his gaze was fixed solely on the dais at the center of the exhibition hall, which was covered with a thick velvet cloth. Everyone believed that the heart of the sun lay within, and there was another person who captured Ryan's attention, a woman who stood alone, sipping a glass of champagne. She wore a red silk dress and a mask that covered half of her face, but her defiant lips, sharp jawline, and above all, her piercing eyes that seemed to see right through everything, could not be hidden by the mask. They told him she was no ordinary noblewoman. Who is she? Rian thought. Everyone else is captivated by the artifact, but she alone is observing the entire game. It's like I've met one of my own kind, just as he was taking an interest in her. Valeria stepped up to a podium and drew the crowd's attention. Ladies and gentlemen, tonight you will be witnesses to history. The last heir of the forgotten kingdom of Sundara, Lord Kairos, will finally reveal the legendary treasure, the heart of the sun. All eyes turned to the dais. Ryan slowly walked towards it. His heart began to pound with tension. This was the highlight of his performance. He placed his hand on the velvet cloth and closed his eyes for a moment with a solemn expression. This is no mere treasure. This is the blood and tears of my ancestors, and the last fragment of the sun that once illuminated the world. As he pulled back the cloth, a dazzling golden light erupted, blinding the onlookers. On the dais lay a massive golden gemstone the size of a man's fist. The gem seemed to emit its own light, and at its center a red light pulsed like a living heart. Ooh! Exclamation mark. A collective gasp of awe rippled through the crowd. They stared at the gem, mesmerized. Of course, the jewel was nothing more than an elaborate magical device that Ryan had commissioned from a master forger and a mage for a hefty price. It was a fake, designed with a magic crystal inside to emit light and heat. But at that moment, no one suspected it was a fake. Even Lord Valerius was momentarily lost in its intense light and magical aura. Just as Ryan was smiling, certain of his success, the woman in the mask quietly approached him and whispered, her voice too low for anyone else to hear. An exquisite tour, Your Highness. Ryan's heart sank. I don't know what you're talking about, my lady, he replied, trying his best to remain composed. Oh, I think you do, the woman said with a smile. You see, the real heart of the sun doesn't shine so garishly. In fact, it's the opposite. It takes the form of a pitch-black darkness and swallows all light around it. Isn't that right, Mr. Swindler? Her eyes, which seemed to know everything, pierced through Ryan's mask and saw his true face. Ryan